What do they need to do, LeVar, to prioritize what positions? Sounds like they're making hard runs at secondary help in the defense. Obviously, that's a big area of weakness. They've already signed a wide receiver, Andre Roberts. What do you know about him?
Nothing.
All right.
I know absolutely nothing about him. I'll say this. I do believe they got Perry Riley signed.
Yes.
That is right now, that is the biggest signing of this offseason. Is getting Perry Riley signed, not Arakpo, not D Hall. Getting Perry Riley signed is probably the single biggest signing for this team. And I'm not biased because I'm a linebacker and he wears 56. You lose London Fletcher, and already a porous defense, a struggling defense that needs to be revamped. The one thing you cannot do is lose both of your guys in the middle. Mm-hmm. You can't afford to do that. So getting Perry Riley signed, hopefully it's a good contract where he's happy with it and he's comfortable with it and comes in as the leader of this defense. I think that's the biggest signing. So, but as a whole, the defense has to be addressed. I think that RG3, barring any other type of circumstances, if it's just we're saying football, he comes back, I think he's going to be a better player this year based off of being removed from the knee injury for as long as he has. So I look at the defense because you can do things that are creative to utilize RG3 being healthier this year than what he was this past season. You got to get that defense secondary together. I would go after. I would lose the house. I'd pay the ranch to get Jarius Byrd. You haven't had a safety, and people say since Sean Taylor. I'd even be willing to say, when you look at Sean Taylor, that was the product of a very, very strong defense. So we didn't even know. Sean Taylor wasn't even at the peak of what his potential was. Sean Taylor was a playmaker. We don't know how much of a safety he was at that point in time in his career. So that we have not had a playmaker, nor have we had a quality safety in quite some time. If he's on the market, Jarius Byrd shows that he can be that guy. I would say if you're going to give up the bank to go,
they have $18 million to work with. They've already signed Riley. They've signed this receiver. You're saying it's worth.
I'd go get him.
Go get Byrd.
I would go get Byrd.
Do you agree with that, Mike?
It's hard. I do and I die. On one hand, Jim Haslett has been hamstrung because, and he'd tell you this off the record probably, that if any money, not that I've ever spoken to him, if any money is to be spent during the Shanahan years, it was going to Kyle's offense, not Jim Haslett's defense. And at some point they had to rectify that. On the flip side, Robert Griffin III is still the franchise, and you gave up the house to get him. And if you really believe that you have the people around him on offense that is going to make his job easier, including the offensive line, I don't buy it. I think you still need to spend some money on an offensive lineman to really protect this guy. And, Andre Roberts is supposed to be a good slot receiver, the next Santana Moss. I want the next possession receiver. When this guy gets a possession receiver, a 6'2" guy that can catch something across the middle, like I could at Campbell High in Ewa Beach, Hawaii, 20,000 years ago, that's the guy you want.
They need a Mike Wise type receiver. That sounds about right. That's what everybody's clamoring for.
I think they need a guy who stretches the field.
You think if you're going to go? You say Garcon's the
Garcon is a possession
I think he's a little mix.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a mix.
I think regardless, they will be linked to more wide receivers, and I think that Roberts will not be the last wide receiver that they bring in.
Kenny Britt?
Kenny Britt, or Hawkins, the guy from Cincinnati. I think they'll get another receiver in here. But every big defensive secondary free agent right now has been linked to the Redskins. At least it's someone they're interested in.
Well, go ahead, continue. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. It's sort of back to the old days where lots of big names out there, and the Redskins being linked to lots of them.
Well, let's add a couple minutes to this, guys, because there's more to go, more names to get through, and one of them is Carlos Rogers, guys. What about the prospects, LeVar, of Carlos coming back?
I don't think he would come back.
Early reports are that he might be interested in coming back.
Well, if he would come back, then he's naive.
Come on.
Yeah? You don't think so?
Come on,
the way he left, but here's the thing. I gave money back to get out of here.
That's true. You did.
Multiples of millions to get out of here.
You did.
I'll say this. The way it seemed like the relationship ended with Carlos Rogers and the Redskins, you wouldn't think that he would come back.
Okay.
Was that about him and Shanahan, or was that about him and management and everybody?
And that could
He
play
liked
a major
Haslett,
part.
right? He and Haslett got
Because I think
along.
if Shanahan's out of the picture, maybe
that's what it
I
is.
mean, there's no team that he could go to where he would be under as much scrutiny from fans in the media as he
and
would be
they
here. And I
hated
don't know why he would
They
want to
hated
do that
him
to
here.
himself. Where every time his hand gets within 5 feet of the ball, people are gonna holler and scream if he
But
doesn't catch
maybe
it.
they look at him differently because he had a Pro Bowl career in
Went to the Super Bowl.
San Francisco.
And then there's Darrell Revis, who London Fletcher is pitching for hard, which Dan, you wrote about this morning.
Yeah, I mean, London Fletcher, suddenly, he was Mr. Quiet, Mr. Company Line when he was in the locker room. Now that he's, mostly retired and he's on Twitter, he's like calling people out and saying the Redskins need to go get Revis.
It'd be the old Redskins,
I'm
right?
down.
Yeah,
I'm down on London, by the way. It's just me. I mean, and you know what it is? I don't like guys that are company men for the public, and then behind the scenes are playing Machiavellian games and telling people different things. And London Fletcher told a lot of people different things about what he said publicly. So I guess what I'm getting at is the guy's already 0 for 1 with Shanahan. He didn't even endorse getting back Shanahan back.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Done. All right, so don't listen to him on this one either.
Oh, there you go. I think a lot of fans would be
I'm
in
done.
favor of not bringing in
I don't,
Revis
I
for
don't
a
like
big
people
trade.
that are not authentic.
All right.
And London Fletcher's
20
not
seconds
authentic.
left.
I think
What? Really?
He's not an authentic guy. He tells a lot of he tells a lot of things behind the scenes. This is a personal vendetta. We don't want to take it there. Let's go.
All right, moving on. Well, let's end it right there. That's a passionate way to end that segment on free agency. Stay tuned to the Insider for more on the Redskins free agent moves. We'll talk more about
I wanna
it
read
next
that.
week. There you go.